Hello, hi, and welcome back, Golden Gamers, to another episode of Radio Melee.
Woo!
I'm very pleased
Thought I'd
to
throw
be
that in.
joined, as always. Thank you, Toph, by the
Yeah.
wonderful Toph. He's getting involved. He's active. Love to see it. Thank you so much for being here, King.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the intro. And look who we have here.
Look who's
Have I seen
joining
that
us.
shirt? Have I seen that shirt yet?
I don't
going on
know.
there?
I think you like it.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
You get that in Europe. You got that in Europe.
No, I did not actually. It's a little Fred Flintstone vibe, huh?
No, I wasn't going to say that. Actually,
Thank you. That was actually a bait. That was actually. I'm so glad you said no. All right.
God,
Yeah.
Smart man.
Classic Zain bait.
Mhm.
By the way, I call you Zain now.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
All right, so let's just get into it.
Well, Caitlin's always called you Zain.
Caitlin switches it up. So Caitlin is my girlfriend. She
Can I
will.
switch it up?
You can switch it up. Yeah, I like both variations. I think they
Okay.
both sound really cool. Zayn is how when I first started going to like elementary school and stuff, I introduced myself as Zayn, and that kind of stuck through like every social setting. My family calls me Zen. I also love the way that sounds. So yeah, it's if you want to interchange it, it's cool. I'm glad it was brought up on commentary because I think it's cool to share.
Yeah.
Although I feel like a lot of people were definitely confused, but I feel like it should be that should settle down pretty.
Yeah, they'll get used to it.
I mean,
They'll get
it's
used to
fine
it.
either way. Is the main takeaway, and you kind of like both, so it seems like it's.
I
gonna
do,
be
yeah.
Mhm.
But important clarification. I talked to the big man himself before we started, and I just wanted to clarify if there was a preference or whatever. And you, my good sir, our guest today, our esteemed guest today, he said, you know what? If you're used to calling me Zain, you can run that. And so that's where I'm at.
You talk to who? Who's the big man?
I'm the
God?
big man. Wait, wait.
You're the
Whoa,
big
whoa,
man.
wait,
Okay,
wait.
yeah, no, I prayed and I was like, oh, I need
God,
guidance.
and God told
What does he
you.
want? What
Got
does
it.
he
Yep.
want? What does he
Right.
need right now?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, important clarification. Thank you, Toph.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm gonna the other big man in the call
Right.
with us, and who's always with us, Zain. Thank you so much. I'm gonna be going
Jesus in my
Zain.
chat. Sorry, I'm so excited. Jesus is in my chat right now. We were
Oh
just
my
talking
god,
about
that is a rarity these
That's
days.
huge.
We could talk a little about G subs. I want to talk about when I saw G subs in his car, and he was. I mean, we're gonna get into Shine, right? We're gonna talk about Shine, which just happened. And I saw G subs in his car with Swift in the passenger seat.
Yeah,
Sunday
they're both
morning.
heroes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you sent him on a errand to the airport.
All right. He offered, and it was very kind of him. Yes, he was because Jesus was with me. We were about to get food, and I was like looking for a Pikachu to warm up with, right? And I was like, it's a drought out here, man. I was like, there's no Pikachus, and I was messaging Dan Swift. And I was like, you know what?
His name's Dan. It's not Tyler.
It's not Tyler. No, it's very confusing.
It's messed up.
So we just got to get rid of the Tyler portion.
Sorry. Yeah, we gotta get rid of that.
But yeah, I was messaging him. I was like, you know what? I was like, would you be cool to come for a day and help me warm up? Like, is that something you can do? Because it would be really, really useful for me, and I would really appreciate it. And he was like, give me a second. And he's like, yeah, I'm down. I was
He canceled all his
Pikachu obligations, whatever.
Pikachu obligations.
Yeah, whatever that is. But he it was very kind of him to come through, and I think it was actually super necessary and crucial for that.
Not even just like helpful, necessary.
I think so, based off how the set went down.
Yeah, it was still close.
I'm thinking about what I played him for like 5 hours straight, like that day, and I'm thinking about like I was like, and I was remembering things playing him, and he was reminding me of stuff like specific DI things on like up throw, like up air, and just like small things that like really did add up. I think it made a huge difference. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
you watched all of Shine, PB?
Yeah, I did, and I watched. I watched some of it back yesterday to refamiliarize myself with a lot of it. And I mean, I think it was a big win in a lot of ways for you, Zain. I mean, right? There's the Pikachu streak, which you popped off for more than when you won the whole thing. Spoilers, by the way. But there was HBox, who had beaten you last time you played, and then there was Jmook, who Sheiks have been out here, and then Jmook specifically kind of started that. So I mean, really, really triumphant victory here. I mean, after having some more struggles in various matchups after, and not just being a Sheik one, what do you think contributed to your? I mean, obviously you flew in Swift, but there were still other matchups and there were still other issues that I imagine might have been going on. What do you think? Maybe you could point to it, one or a few things. What do you think most contributed to your success this past weekend?
I think just it's something that I have to continually remind myself of, is trying to take a little pressure off myself for events like these. The number one ranking thing is both a double-edged sword, right? Because it's everything I've ever wanted, but it also comes with a lot of stress and expectation, intrinsic expectation, that it's just so painful to deal with when you're trying to compete. But I think being self-aware of that and also focusing on things in my life outside of the game, and that's always stuff that I knew about, but I had to remind myself. Like, I started working out again.
And you weren't doing that the last few months.
I wasn't doing that. I was pretty like inactive in that regard, and so I started working out with my roommate and one of my other friends.
And who's your roommate?
Oh, that's Busy Boy. He actually streamed on my channel as I was competing, which was very, very kind of him. He's super. He's jacked. He's jacked and cracked. But
you heard about Busy Boy PP? Do you know about the legend?
I don't really know.
Plays Falco?
Yeah. The word's getting out.
Word's getting out. Plays Falco, is jacked.
Stays occupied, I assume.
Stays occupied with Falco and Jack.
Well, things to do, I assume, is with the tag and all. I mean, I imagine.
He is a busy boy. Yeah.
Busy boy.
Yeah.
He's a busy boy.
But working out, I feel like even if it's a placebo, I don't know. I know there is like
not placebo.
It's not, right?
It helps. It helps.
No way.
I just felt like my energy levels at Shine specifically relative to other tournaments was way high. Like, I was amping myself up.
Yeah.
Like I just had my will to win just felt stronger, and I was like, even when I was down in my axe set, I was like really clinging on. Which I didn't feel that same. I really wanted to win those other tournaments, but I didn't. The energy felt different.
Do you feel there's anything about just to dig into that a little bit more? Do you feel like there's anything about how you'd had some harder losses the last few months, and then that pushed you kind of more to feel more fire for this tournament, or do you think it was just separate and more related to the working out and something else maybe?
I think it's a combination of both for sure. Yeah. Those losses, I mean, they suck in the moment, but it's what you end up feeling really proud of, is like overcoming stuff like that. And in the Axe case, it's many years in the making.
Yeah.
I mean, I really needed that one. Like, I hadn't played him in like 2.5 years or something.
Yeah.
And that was an online tournament, so I just had to like hold the L for like the narrative and like. And
man, boy, we have to do something about this Marth Pikachu narrative. So I'm really glad that we can start moving the needle on this.
It is by no means a done deal. Like, that was not a very convincing.
Right.
But it was an important step, and I know what to work on specifically too, which is good. And getting the win, even if it was close, like I really, that was important for my mental, I think.
Yeah. Just to get it out of the way, right? Like, even if you guys trade sets in the future, it's like, I think getting that first one feels really impactful.
It does, yeah.
It shows
maybe even
can be done.
Right. And maybe even for the same reason too that you were kind of saying with the whole like pressure thing, the pressure being number one, but also there's other forms of pressure. And I think the pressure to, when you play Melee, you just want to play Melee. You don't have to worry about some kind of narrative that, you want to get it out of the way, and then you can just play your best.
Narratives are so cool for spectators, and like it's so essential, I think, for Melee's longevity and its lifespan. But as a competitor and being so conscious of it as you're playing is not conducive towards.
It doesn't help.
No,
it doesn't give you anything.
Doesn't help.
It does not help at all. I'm thinking, like, do you add like? Does LeBron just open up Twitter and like see like the Mickey Mouse comments? And it's probably not, right? He probably has a great way to filter that. But I think because Melee is a smaller scale, like you also hear about things in person. Like, I'll just be passing the venue and I have to play Axe, and someone's gonna be like, "You ready to break it, man?" And I'm just
maybe.
I don't know. I'm trying my best. I don't know.
I mean, it'd be nice, right? But gotta do the darn thing. And it's something I think about when I hear when there were League of Legends players and people started working with them, and you started having sports psychologists working with them, when it started like 10 years ago, and that started evolving more as an esport. I heard stories about how the players would they'd finish a set and then they'd go on Reddit and read everything. And the sports psychologists were like, you have to never go back.
Yeah.
And actually just never go back, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about.
Thing. Like this was this is Golden Guardians or what League of Legends?
Well, no, I forget the team. There was someone that had been on the inside and worked with the industry, and I'd listen to them talk about it. And they were saying that was something that players were doing, and they were trying to keep them on a routine and keep their mental in good shape, and various practices for that. And that's an obvious easy one. Like you could just see when players would go on and read that stuff that like their performance would be worse, their mood would be worse. Like it just affects and if you have dedicated help like that, it's good. But like we're Melee, there's not that. So like if even if you're in a venue, right? Like we have VIP areas, but maybe you have to go to the bathroom and there's not a VIP bathroom, so you still have to walk through. And then everyone says, "Are you going to break the thing, man?" And you're like, "Oh God." And so it's a different atmosphere. Still, we have like the eyeballs, but not the money. And so there's this interesting combination of things we find ourselves in. And I just kind of bring that up so people can kind of think about, the unique position that a lot of Melee high-level players find themselves in.
Mm-hmm. My philosophy also is when it comes to reading stuff like YouTube comments or Reddit threads, when it comes to competition, I am not reading any of that. But if it's content, I will read a lot for personal feedback and what I can do better for content. Because that's, I think there's a different... some differentiation there. But
also when it's your content, they're not being like, "Oh yeah, man, someone's catching up to you in subs. Aren't you scared?" Or whatever, right?
That'd be crazy. Wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be bizarre.
But yeah.
I mean, I wonder. I do know that like I guess their equivalent, if anything, would be like salary and stuff like that. Because I do know that stuff gets published sometimes, like so player salary. I know NBA, it's all public.
I think with Melee players, we just all take a lot of pride on our results, and that's just like the reality. Like, oh my God, I hate talking about like results and stuff,
dude. I'm so with you, man.
Like with you, like results or ranking season, it's just like
it just finished, right? And that's
even number one.
I hate it.
Right, you would be in the best position to be the only person to say, you know what, I like it, but even you.
Okay, it was a little different this time. I won't lie. it was a little different scrolling through Twitter and being like, it sucks.
Hey, that's tough, guys. Oh man.
That's tough, man. You'll get it next time. Yeah, but still, right? There's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of
there is, I mean, yeah.
a lot of hurt feelings.
It is so funny how it is crucial, I think, from a spectator, standpoint. It's really nice to have. But then on the flip side, no one likes to be, it's like report card season,
It is, yeah.
It doesn't feel good. So.
For sure.
Man. And yeah, PP, I don't know if you had any other specific questions for Zain. Or Zan.
Let's see. Yeah, right. Important clarification. Let's see. Do I have... Oh, yeah, this is a cool question that while this will segue, this will, I think, lead a little bit forward, but just real quick before I forget, !Radio Melee in my chat, Toph's chat. Jump into the Discord to ask questions, submit topics here. You know the drill, everyone, but I'm just doing a reminder. But so one other thing thinking about going forward, right? Because I think it's one thing to have this win, which was great, and then the period of struggle beforehand, right? But there's what's coming forward, and you mentioned in your winners interview post tourney that there's stuff coming up. So I think a great question to ask right now is, what do you kind of expect or want going forward, right? Because there was the challenging time before, and then there's happy times now for at least like a week and a half or whatever, and then serious time, and then whatever happens from those tournaments. So what are you wanting? It might not be something you care to think about, but it's something worth asking yourself at least once.
Yeah, I think just being aware of the process of it all, and understanding that I'm someone who enjoys improving at the thing that I like, which is Melee, and being okay with coming to a tournament and having my preparation be the way it is, and the results are just an indicator of that, and that's what I have to remember at the end of the day. And trying to not worry too much about stuff like rankings or like pressure. It's stuff that exists, and I will never be able to fully ignore it. But I play way more confidently when I am like thinking about improvement more so. So that's the biggest takeaway for me.
In the longer term, you mean? Like in the longer term?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, focusing on what works. You'd be surprised how difficult it can be to just keep doing that when there's life's happening and everything else is happening. So just important reminder. But yeah,
it definitely takes the edge off. It definitely takes the edge off in a way when you take that long view and you're basically saying, I'm growing as a player. No matter what happens today, I'm growing as a player. Yeah. Right? I think that's better. Well, I don't know. I wonder if there are people who are the other way. For me, too, I think every time I've gone to a tournament, really sucked myself up and been like, this is the tournament. I'm going to try to do really well this tournament. I've always done really bad. Relative to when I just kind of, try to take a longer view. So I don't know if that's just a healthy mindset or...
I think everyone's a little different. I remember Levin tweeting during rankings. He was tweeting about like he much rather prefers like focusing on one particular tournament at a time to give it his all. I remember seeing a tweet like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
And he was talking about how he doesn't care about rankings and stuff like that. But he much rather prefers like giving it his all at like one specific event where he's like going to prepare and stuff. And that's definitely one way to look at it. But Melee season is such that, I mean, we just really pump them out.
Yeah, I'm about to say one tournament, by the time you're done with next one, you're about on a flight to another one the way some of these people were doing it.
I mean, that 1 month in July was, I had just gotten back from Italy.
Oh, man.
And then it was, what was it? Gamal into Double Down into Phantom.
It was just, you're going to Australia.
Oh, yeah.
You started in Italy.
I started in Italy. Yeah, that was Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah. I almost did that with, I wasn't in Europe, obviously, but I was at CEO. So same way. It was 3 weekends, and I almost did Phantom. And Sock was DMing me about Phantom, and I was like, dude,
it was a fun time.
I can't do 4. I bet it was awesome. Yeah, I bet it was like super awesome, but I was like, I can't do 4 in a row. 4 in a row is just...
That's insane.
I didn't even do 4 in a row when I was in my 20s, so I'm not doing 4 in a row now. I'm so sorry.
Smart man.
October is going to be like that too, by the way. So looking forward to that.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
Good luck to everyone for that. But for now, let's keep the show kind of moving along. Community voice from last week.
And we had a fun one. We had a fun one. I like this question. I thought it was
it's spicy.
It's silly. It's spicy.
Yeah.
We had Zuppy on last week, and he was saying, who would we send back if from today? Who's the worst player we could send back? The weakest player. I know it's not a fun way to phrase it, but that is the way we're phrasing it. Who could win Genesis 1?
Well, don't focus on the worst player part. Focus on the can win Genesis 1 part, and it sounds good.
My eyes immediately lasered in on the second comment.
Junebug's Dr. Mario would clean sweep from Boppy. Zain, what do you think about Junebug's Dr. Mario? Do you think that is a clean sweep? What are your thoughts?
It's a pretty nasty Dr. Mario. I remember he did me so dirty when he was first like practicing his doc. This was like the early days, I think. He came over to my place and I was like pretty drunk or something. All right, I'm not. Listen, I don't even make excuses or anything.
But it's part of the story. It's part of the narrative.
Let's just say that I was drunk. Okay.
Okay.
You were super wasted. You were basically blacked out.
And he was playing. Yeah. He was playing.
Actually, literally, physically was blacked out. He was touching the controller.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But I was still somehow playing Fox. Somehow. And he's just chain grabbing me across FD. I'm just like, oh my god. And he tells that story a lot. But do I think it would clean sweep Armada?
Dude, there's some bad matchups in there.
Do I think Junebug's Dr. Mario is beating Armada's Peach even at Genesis 1? I don't think so.
Yeah, it is a tough matchup, admittedly, and he was still pretty solid, pretty clean.
I will also throw in, I did a little YouTube video about this kind of topic of like, how would people do if they went to the past? And I think the problem with characters like Doc, I gotta say, is Doc uniquely, people were a lot more prepared back then for Doc.
That is true.
Like, there were way more Docs, and people knew the matchup, I think, way better. Or at least more prepared.
Yeah, and like invalidating Doc really hasn't changed that much over time.
Right.
Maybe a little
People
bit.
may have forgotten though these days.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
I'm
surprised, Zain, that your eyes darted to the second comment and not the third comment.
Oh shit! Don't test me, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so that's the real question. And we'll get to the first one. But what do you think? Can you do it?
No.
Hey, wow. It's Armada.
Dude, Roy, man.
It's Armada. I don't think I got Kage either.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Dude, yeah, that's.
I don't think I got Mewtwo King.
Yeah, okay. He would probably Sheik you.
He would Sheik me. Yeah.
He would Sheik you.
I don't know if he did that as much in 2009.
Maybe I'm not giving Don't Test Me enough credit though.
Yeah, how did Don't Test Me do against I don't know, the Bens and the
he does pretty well. He does pretty well.
He does pretty well.
Some would say he has a winning record.
Some would say that.
Some would say and by that I mean it's just true. But
okay, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go on a limb. I think it's doable. I don't know if it's happening, but it's doable.
It's doable. I think I beat HBox at that time. Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. HBox was. I mean, if anything, the Puff back then to beat would be Mango, right?
Yeah, I would beat Mango's Puff. I think, and he. Oh, don't let him hear this. Oh, he'd be mad. But I think so.
Don't let him hear this.
I think so.
Armada's the tough one for sure. Armada's
a really tough one.
Armada, M2K, Kage. I mean, this is what this person added in here. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, good luck to you and Don't Test Me way back there.
When we send you into the past, yeah. Which is going to be a crazy experience, I'm sure.
Canadian
and then we can also look at Canadian bake. Oh, that's what that is. My brain was like backing. You can read it.
Yeah, no worries. I think that people underestimate the adaptability and clutchness of guys like Mango and Armada even back at Genesis 1. True. But I also think that a larger gap in matchup knowledge could be a big deal. I'd rather my horse be on a mid-tier than one of the common characters, which is interesting given we just talked about Doc. Gonna go with Swift, who we talked about earlier.
Hey,
I think even if someone is playing a less common character, I'm not sure someone ranked around 40th today get the W. Neutral and adaptability just too strong from the top players. Even that many years ago, I think Swift is good enough and Pika can put in work. It is funny because at Genesis 1 is where Axe got his first win over J-Man. And that's when I first heard about Pikachu being a real character and not a fake character.
Yeah,
so that's actually prime time.
Swift,
that's prime time for Pikachu.
That's prime time. And the matchup knowledge was so lacking back then, right? Like the way he beat J-Man was basically J-Man didn't know that if you get back thrown, you can't double jump because then you'll jump into the Thunder Jolt and die. And you contrast that to like what Swift has to deal with. I could definitely see Swift doing some damage.
I could see him winning.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could.
Yeah, I guess there's considerations like Puff, and then there's still Armada's Peach.
The thing is, he goes Fox versus Puff for this particular case.
Right.
Yeah,
and his Fox is really
he's good. He's good at that matchup. Yeah. And does he get to bring his Vox?
Does he? We didn't talk about that with Zuppy. We were like, do we bring the box? And there are people at Genesis 1 like, is this okay? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why do you have this strange thing?
Here's my funny take is that, okay, if I'm at Genesis 1, right, and I'm a TO, and some guy walks in and is like, hey, what's up? I'm from the future. And this is what we play on now. This is the device. Like, you have to make this call where you don't let him play, or you just be like, well, everyone's using this shit in 2022. You came from the future, like, all right. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna send him like, sorry, man. You really gotta go back in your time machine. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. And I don't know if that happens to me today, they tell me from the future, I'm gonna be like, get him out of here. I got a tournament to win. Get him out of here. Yeah.
But like in 20 years, when someone's like, what if we sent someone back to beat Zain now? You would be like, no, I don't.
No,
that's not
leave. I don't care about this time.
When they can do super slide off in their finger controller or whatever they
have.
You're gonna be like,
that is
no,
using
that's
a
not
neural
okay.
link. Yeah. No, I mean
Neuralink, yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna completely disregard the whole time travel aspect. I don't even care about that. I'm trying to win this tournament. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're kind of causing problems. You're like, we ban it and we ban it now, or you just sit out. You boycott, and that's fair and valid.
Yeah.
But hey, good community voice, good discussion. I think let's go ahead. We got a couple callers ready.
We
can
do.
Go ahead and bring our first one in.
Got some pretty good questions in here.
Neptune, what's up? Where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today, gamer?
Hello. I am calling in from South Florida, just like previously.
Nice.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. First off, I just want to say, congratulations on the Shine 2022 win, Zain.
Thank you.
And especially congrats on the win over Axe in particular. I know that you worked really hard for that to happen.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So my question is, how would you describe the experience of winning Shine 2018 4 years ago, given it's your first ever major win, to winning Shine 2022 last weekend?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. It's completely different, but it's cool that it's at the same tournament series. Shine 2018 I was completely an underdog. I think I was like 9th seed or something. And it's completely different feeling going into that of like, I'm proving myself, like I can really like hang with these guys and that kind of mentality. Whereas here I was talking about it earlier, there's an expectation to win for it. It's just a different complete mindset going in. So those two victories have a very different note to them. And also a differentiation for 2022 is that I feel like my bracket path was way harder for this one. I think it's the hardest bracket path I've had, because even before Axe and semis, I had Johnny, who historically, if you look at 2019, he was a big roadblock for me in a lot of like big major tournaments. So that it was a pretty hard bracket. Johnny into Axe, into HBox, who had just beat me, into Jmook, who won the last 3. I would say that it's hard to say which one is more satisfying, because Shine 2018 was my first big win, and that kind of has that novelty. Whereas this one, I like the actual matches I feel more proud of. So it's hard for me to pick. It's just two very different feelings. But
yeah, different contexts, and also not to mention that like even before you faced Sax, there was also Jmook that he was fighting too. So it's like this is gonna be hard no matter who wins.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I was secretly rooting for Axe as much as I love Jake. Like I wanted. I always want my runs to be like. I don't want there to be like an asterisk. Yeah, I don't want there to be an asterisk. Like, oh, this one I feel like I encountered everyone except for Mango, who I always want to play Mango and Grands actually, but yeah,
like with Zain versus Axe is like I wanted a Super Smash Con watching that, and I was like Zain versus Axe loses finals, imagine, and then Axe thinks Hungry Box, and I was like, okay, well, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, he's working on it though. But Zain, kind of a related question, because what this comes out of, is there a tournament series that has more meaning to you than others? Because maybe it's Shine at this point, given the history and given this question. But is there some other series you feel like you have a lot of history with that has a meaning to you?
Yeah, definitely Genesis. I mean, it's been 2 years in a row. I'm not consecutive years because of the pandemic, but 2 Genesis series in a row. That one's very important to me, also because it's the start of the year, and I'm always like amped up to like start on the right foot. And yeah, that one is also like there's so much of a spectacle to Genesis of like playing in the theater and stuff, and that feels like that one's really special to me. Shine feels more nostalgic to me because of like the first like taste of victory.
Yeah, so it's almost like Shine may be the most personal, but Genesis is like the most hyped up, the most important feeling.
Yeah, I would say so. And then Big House, I just really want one. just because I feel like I was so close. Big House 9. There's a world where I have a Big House title and a Summit title, and Mango's actually like really put a stop to a lot of like my close victories.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually.
Yeah, both Summit and Big House 9. Yeah.
PP, I'm kind of curious for you because I mean, obviously you were winning majors as well. Did you kind of have this where certain, I don't know, yeah, like certain titles or certain tournament titles, if you will, felt, like the meaning was a little bit different to you or anything like that?
Yeah, and I think there is a similarity with what Zane's talking about with those 2 Shine wins, with the way I feel about my Pound 5 and my Apex 2015 win, where Pound 5 I came up, and that was kind of the one, and I was like, okay, I've beaten everyone, I've won this thing. There's no more doubts. This guy is one of the top players for sure. It may be number 1 for the moment or whatever. That's for the Melee Stats people to talk about. But Apex 2015, I felt like there was so much personal work I did beforehand, and there was so much more of the gameplay I wanted to do that I got to express, and so it was very different. There was something personal about things I did at Pound, but Apex was like it was very different for me, and there's a reason I think people often will associate me with that series and talking about it coming back this year and everything like that. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting thing to kind of see the parallel for that and see that come up even with this question, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, there is something beautiful about that first tournament win, and that kind of just like that really connects you to a series, I think, in a special way. But then there's also just whatever the real big one is, right? So again, Pound was the big one, and then Apex was the big one. So I kind of had it both ways there. But there's so many big ones now; it's a little different.
Sure, yeah, it's probably like Genesis and Big House now. There was the Evo era as well, where Evo was kind of the one that people would talk about in that way.
And there are the Summits too.
Yeah, Summit as well.
Summit for me feels like a completely different beast.
It's so different. Yeah. There's the marathon aspect. There's the invitational and the more confined aspect. But then there's the prize pool, which is just so much higher. It's so different. Everything is so different about it.
The prize pool, yeah. For better or for worse, sometimes like I just kind of think of viewership as like a metric that somehow, it tends to correlate. Like it's kind of weird that it does almost, but like it kind of tends to be that the tournaments that get the most viewership are the ones that we care about the most as competitors, which is kind of funny. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think this is a great question and a good discussion all around. Thank you so much for calling in, Neptune. You got any shout outs for us on your way out today?
No problem. Not that I could think of off the top of my head. Was because I'm anxious, but it's all right.
That's fine.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear that discussion and the difference with like big tournaments, but like big in like different ways. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah. It was
and
really
it's funny
fun.
how we kind of have this in Melee where, I guess in some other esports, it's kind of just standardized in that sense. Like there's only really one type of event in some esports, right? Like there's LCS and then there's like Worlds. And obviously you want to win Worlds. But there isn't that kind of like varying that variance in how tournament. Although I don't know, maybe they think about it differently too, based on location or something like that. So I don't know. But,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, thank you so much, Neptune. Have a good rest of your day, gamer.
Of course,
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you all have the good rest of your days. And speaking of Summit and Big House, I hope that you get those W's someday, Zain.
Thanks.
Yeah. Which I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will too. Thank you.
See
Goodbye.
ya.
Later.
Bye-bye.
All right, Exclamation Radio Melee. If you too would like to call in, ask a question, and be anxious on your way out, we got another caller queued up and ready to go. Looks like we've got Nathan, unless it's pronounced Nat Han, because I do see a period there.
Oh, it could be Nat Han.
Could be. We'll get to the bottom of this shortly. Welcome to the show. How do you pronounce your name? What's your question for us today, gamer?
It is Nathan. Hi.
All right.
Not Nat Han. Nice.
What's up?
Big fans.
Appreciate that.
Watch Shine from the Pacific Northwest, from Oregon. Toph, you're from Washington at some point?
Yeah, I lived there. I went to college for 5 years. So 5 years. I wouldn't say I'm from Seattle, but I lived there definitely long enough to have been all around the PNW.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So yeah, I just kind of came back from Melee. I haven't really played since about 2017.
Okay.
And some players have retired. Some players have come back. And I was watching some Ginger advice videos, and he was looking at some older sets, 2014, and saying, "Oh, this in particular was a good option then, and it's not a good option now." I know that Slide Off has come in. I know that Arms attacks are bad now. I mean, I'm sure this is vast generalizations, but I guess my question is, are there play styles and game plans from, say, 2015 that have aged at different rates? Are there certain characters where what they did in 2015 is less applicable now? And are there players who, if they came back, are particularly apt to still succeed in the modern era versus other players?
Relative to others. That's a cool question.
Yeah.
PP, I'll let you start, I guess.
I don't know what the modern player's fascination with saying that sort of thing is, because I think it misses the point, if I'm just going to be blunt about it. Yes, I do think more tech gets added and things do change, but I think in our viewing and saying that, we miss out on the things that still work. So, for example, I think there's a lot of neutral that can still work. Yes, you have to account for people being better at crouch canceling and ASDI down now, but I don't think that means that everyone's neutral game from back then was completely invalidated. For example, I mean, if you were playing against Armada's Peach, like your crouch canceling and ASDI down doesn't matter very much against Peach, right? So that's not necessarily going to be what changes the matchup. There might be other things that do change it, and different knowledge that's come out and that does change it, but that doesn't change good aspects of his game or how frame tight he was, for example. That's just good stuff. That's just good top player stuff. That's just hard to do. I mean, even now we'll see Peaches excel at things that Armada didn't do, for example, but they don't necessarily have a lot of the same type of frame type things he had. So again, this isn't just about him, but this is just as part of the question. I think he's one of the players that people might think about for it. But yeah, I do think, this often, when we think about these, I think when we think about what's important from the past versus now, we often think about slide off, shield drop, Omsatech, all that stuff, and it's completely valid, and it does change things for sure. And SDI for the punish, and that's absolutely true. But and crouch cancel for some of the neutral. But I think a lot of things, are still going to hold. Especially for the neutral. But then there are going to be things like, if you've got someone off stage and you have a certain edge guard set up and none of that other stuff really matters, then, it still works, right? It doesn't matter how much time changes. The only thing that might change is like if there's now a type of notch or an angle that might change things, and that would be something to consider. But if you hit the fox before he takes off, then your notches don't matter, right? So there are just various things that. So rather than talking about like a play style or something like that per se, I just kind of want to say there is tech that's added that changes things, but then there are things that are just good. There are things that just kind of work. And I guess if I had to say something else to answer the question in a more general sense, I think there's I think Puff's game plan hasn't, vastly, insanely changed a ton in the past several years. Not that Puff hasn't had to deal with all the other stuff that's changed around her. Right. And learning more percents, and HBox has had to learn different edge guards because people like Zane's recovery has gotten so good, and all that stuff. But that would be one character that hasn't changed as much. Where if you looked at a character like Falcon, a remarkably different character in terms of the things he did. So there's lots of ways to address this, but I just kind of wanted to set something there to give my take on that.
I definitely think there's something to the crouch thing with regards to not players per se, but maybe certain play styles. So for example, the old logic or the old wisdom versus, let's say, Captain Falcon was, everyone watched Cactuar Dark Reign, and the old logic was you'd run in and you'd do Nair a gazillion times, pretty much willy-nilly, and if any of them hit, then you kind of pressure him forever because you're plus forever and he can't get out. And, nowadays people are a lot better at using crouch, for example, to kind of mitigate that. does that mean that somebody like Cactuar back in 2009 couldn't adapt and maybe mix in some down airs, mix in just some grabs or something like that? Like, probably not, but like,
what's funny about that example
that
specifically is Cactuar said, "I gave J-Man my nairs. I don't use them anymore." So he picked him up and then he dropped him. I think a few months later after they became cool. Yeah, he was already on to the next stuff. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was the only point I was going to make, was that I think, and I guess there's a subtlety here, there's a nuance that I think that the sort of thing that maybe is being asked here with regards to maybe entire players where their style would be phased out, I feel like that's going to happen less to a top level player and maybe more to maybe more at the mid level. Maybe mid level you would see some styles just not be as good, let's say. Because obviously there's going to be less adaptability and things like that.
I mean, they're also still just crazy players now, right? Like if you watch a BBB combo video now, like he's able to add, a lot of edge cancels and stuff that we couldn't do,
right?
Or we just didn't do in the past, right? So crazy player from past might not look the same in modern day, but that might be okay, just something else to think about.
Yeah. I don't think that any of the styles wouldn't fit in like modern day Melee or anything like that. I think you take any top level player style, you put it in today, it still completely has its place. I think maybe pace has changed a little bit. If you play someone like Cody, or for example, or like Bobby's another fast spacey, right? Like I don't think like styles from like 2015 or whatever are like particularly like. I think they're still perfectly like acceptable, and it's just a matter of using that same style and adapting to pace changes. Along with what PP said about like being having recognition of like more techniques and stuff, and like that's just something you get by just you'll just see it. I feel like so I don't know. I can't think of any particular playstyle that has aged badly besides I guess wobbling, right?
That's true.
That's not legal anymore.
That is like a very funny answer.
Icy's man waking up from a coma, oh boy, I can't wait to wobble and get another top 8, another major.
I guess that aged pretty badly.
That aged pretty badly. It's really it's funny because like if I had to name one person where I'm like, this person's playstyle shouldn't work in the modern era, it's like probably Dreffen, but Dreffen literally is like top 40.
Man, I do
makes it work.
Every time we talk about Dreffen.
If Dreffen can make it work, then probably a lot of people can make it work.
That more than we think, honestly. And I tell you this, I had so much faith in just the way and just the simple outplaying stuff that we could probably still be doing a lot more of. When I saw Dreffen playing Cody one time, I will never forget this. Every time Dreffen comes up, I'll always think about this. He was playing Cody on Fountain of Dreams, and he's cornered basically. Cody's spazzing. He's so fast, he's ready to react to everything and anything and kill you.
Yeah.
Dreffen stands still for a second. He just looks at him, and then he jumps and he full hops in place and maybe slightly drifts forwards, and he down airs. And Cody takes a second, and then he jumps into it, and Dreffen kills him. And at that moment, I knew the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, 100%. I knew exactly where that was going.
Cody wins the set, obviously.
But that one moment stuck out to you.
But he had other good moments too, right? But the point is that still happened. There are still things like that exist in Melee, and you can still have outplays like that, and and off meta choices, and so and things that work well because you're doing other things well. And so, that just kind of showed me how we. There are still many things and still many styles that are good, and maybe even things we wouldn't expect. So just an encouraging thing to think about.
I mean, what I'm thinking about too is I recently, like a year ago or a year and a half ago, I coached Husband. And, I mean, he was playing a long time ago. He also played like at Xanadu from like 2014 to 2017, something like that. But he was off Melee for a good amount until Slippi came back. And, I was like, we were going through like coaching stuff, and I was watching him play like players like Bonfire, for example.
Okay.
Who, like she's a very modern Sheik, right? and eventually husband was just like adapting, and he has like an older style, right? But yeah, I think it is, there is an adjustment period, but it's perfectly doable for various styles.
And you know what was cool about the husband example specifically? Is husband actually started impacting the modern meta? Because I remembered around the time you guys were doing that, I would be playing some Marts and they would be running through me and forward smashing behind my shield. And I'm like, I haven't seen this option in 10 years.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this option in so long. But it's not bad. It's just very different. And modern Marts, they don't want to come within 10 feet of options like that usually. But like, I'm sure husband was able to make it work against some players, and people were like, oh, and then he was on your stream and everything. And so he was taking things that were old and still good and and mixing with things that are new and are great, and he was putting that together in a way that you don't see, and that's kind of a cool thing. And so I really love that was something that existed, and that he could show that, and you could show that by putting that together with him. So I think that was just a cool thing, and that people don't really do the option again now. I guess they forgot about it or whatever, but it was fun to see that little ripple effect from that end to end, to see what still can be successful in its own right. I thought that was all really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, I think there's something to be said for bringing in all the good stuff and doing the right things, but there's also something to be said for, doing what works well for you, and doing things that can still work. Or even people will ask me, can you make stuff work in older videos? Can you do any of that stuff, or does any of that work? And I think there is value there, and some of that different stuff can still work, and I think that's pretty fun.
Definitely. It's funny that you mentioned the run through S match thing, because I used to do that when I was first playing, because it was still prevalent a little bit, and then I think I just kept doing it too much. so I was like, all right, this is probably bad, because
the first time you get shield grabbed by a Sheik doing that, you're like, I don't know, this might not be for me.
The funny thing is, I think if I do that to someone like Mango, he's just gonna shield it every time, just because
you feel that way.
Yeah, I feel like he's still got muscle memory for those kind of interactions from the past. But if I did that to Cody, I think I have done that to Cody, he would just get hit by it and be like, huh? And then it's just different. It depends on the person you played and what they've experienced.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's a really fun question, really fun thing to talk about, and I think that just this type of discourse being out there, and I mean, Zain having that perspective of working with husband and seeing all that's really valuable too, for sure. Well, I think we covered this pretty well. Thank you so much for calling in, Nathan. Any shout outs for us on your way out today?
Yeah, thank you all for your thoughtful answers. A shout out to Eugene Melee, Eugene, Oregon. Shout out to Hurricane. Shout out to
Hurricane.
Zain. Yes, for
Puff?
Zain. Say again, Puff.
Is Hurricane a
Fox?
Fox. I don't know why I thought that was a Puff.
There might be a few, spinning all over the country, but and bring back combo videos.
True.
Bring back combo videos.
Take care, gamer.
Yeah, you too.
Later.
All right, we got time for one more, and what a caller we have here. What a caller we have here. Boy, you're never gonna believe who it is. Zane's gasp. You might be able to tell. G-Subs 200.
G-Subs.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the program. Where are you calling in from? What's your question for us today? And I presumably for Zain, gamer.
Hello. Yep. Good to talk to you all. Toph, PP, and Zan. I did have a question for Zan. So Zan, you're traveling a lot to all these events across the country and across the world, but it's also impressive that you've recently started streaming an MDVA local, The Cave, and even been entering these events.
I've seen these,
and been playing. Been playing Marth. So my question is, what does fostering your local scene mean to you in the Slippi era? Where you can just sit at home and play top players instead. You can play Mango across the country and stuff like that. So I was interested in hearing what you thought about that.
Good question.
Yeah,
wow.
Great question.
Wow, that was beautiful.
So I made a tweet a while back, talking about how local scenes. It was more about crew battles and regional pride. I feel like it's been lacking post Slippi era, where a lot of the kind of melee groups that we have are formed through Discord communities, and these are not like really region specific. It could just be like a mix of different regions that become like this close Discord group, and we kind of saw that in crew battles at Shine. They were not regional crew battles. Like one of the crews was like Magi, Crudo, Slug, and I forgot it like Panda. Like some Floridians, but like these are just people who like talk in Discord, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about how I kind of missed that regional pride because I started at my college scene. That was my local scene, and
likewise,
all of my long-lasting friends who don't even play Melee anymore, a lot of them are from that college scene, and I think that's really more impactful to me than what competition is like making these like long-lasting friends. Busy Boy being one of them. He's my roommate. And yeah, so I thought about that and like how can that best be achieved in MDVA right now? And we already have a great local, the Cave in Fairfax. It's like 15 minutes from where I am, honestly. And yeah, I asked if I could stream it on my channel to try to get more exposure to it. The first week that we did it, I think we peaked at like 900 viewers for grand finals.
Wow.
Which is great. And people just love watching tournament Melee. And we had all these like new faces. Not new faces. They've been competing at the Cave, right? So like people like Prometheus, this really good Ganon player, Seabass, and these are probably a lot of names that people haven't heard about. Very, very talented players that like they're really hard to play against. Seabass, Ahmad, a Marth player who I mentioned on Radio Melee before, I think, as a person.
Oh, you did?
Or some GG video where I mentioned that he's a Marth player that I think is going to be really, really good because he's always asked like really good questions. And he actually, a funny little side story about that. The first Cave that I streamed, I was down 2-0 versus him with Fox. And you know about this, Toph. And
I do know about this. I was watching.
I was like, all right, I'm down 2-0. I was like, enough funny business. And I switched to Marth, and I just lose game 3, and I was like, I look like an idiot. I was like, I'm so stupid. And yeah, he's just really solid. And like he took a game in grands. Like it was 6-1 in Marth it is. But like I was like sweating. I thought I was gonna come there.
Took that second game.
He almost took a second. Yeah, they were close.
2-0.
Yeah, he was good.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we just have a bunch of talented players.
Dude, I tuned in midway. I was like wondering. I was like, is Zain like drunk? But then I was like, but I don't think you're playing that bad. Like I was watching you play it. I was like, no, I just feel like this guy's good.
I have no problem admitting that he's really good. And I think there will be big things coming up for him. But yeah, also like a lot of people were telling me at the venue, like it's cool that having eyes on the local scene is like a really cool thing because it actually feels like there's some weight and importance to the matches that they're playing. And overall, it's just like bringing more camaraderie to the scene. A lot of new faces that I haven't seen prior to pandemic, and just connecting with people, getting to know them. It's one of my favorite things about Melee. I think Melee is really unique in that fact of
it's a great idea.
You meet a lot of people face to face, and yeah, I'm hoping to keep doing this week after week. Sometimes I won't be able to show up just because of like majors and stuff. I flew. So yesterday I got back from Shine and I Ubered straight to the airport to the Cave from the airport. So I still have my suitcase and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my.
But it's fun. It's definitely really fun to hang out with like the local scene.
You know, it's funny you mentioned this because I mean, one of the time periods that I look on the most fondly when it comes to Melee on the West Coast would have been the SSS era. Which was really cool. I mean, PP, you remember it was basically like, you know,
that was great.
Pretty dang stacked tournament like every week.
Yeah.
And it was a local. And that was kind of unheard of. It was like the first time and it would get, 1,000 viewers.
One time Alex Valle commentated it. I mean,
right, because it was at his arcade. It was at Super Arcade.
Yeah, it was cool.
And that was awesome. And it was the kind of thing where, I don't think anyone realized at that point yet that it was possible to have attention from outside of a region on that region's local, right? And I like seeing that now. I like that because the Cave would be the same thing, right? We had a lot of people from across the country watching. Kadorn was in the chat. Kadorn is like, oh my god, I'm taking notes. Who's this Ahmad guy? Cool. Which was really funny. and you don't you didn't have that up until then. And I think that was really one of my favorite times, and it was kind of cool too because with the local Foundry, by the way, same way. Obviously, Foundry was more of a bar vibe, but okay, same deal where it was a local or a weekly that people would tune in. I think it gives people something to watch. It gives people something to talk about. And I think it really highlights the local players. And it definitely adds that sense of regional camaraderie. Seen in other fighting games too. I love when Juno always pops off when like his like Fighting Tuesday players do really well at majors. He's like, see, like the people showing up to the locals, those are the guys that are running the show at majors. Like you got to show up. You got to put in that work, And I really like appreciate that kind of energy. Because I think for a lot of people, myself included, probably yourself included, PP, like that was kind of how we got our start as players.
Oh yeah.
But it's cool now that even as viewers and as fans, it gives the people out there something to kind of latch onto.
Yeah, and not everyone wants to go to the tourney. Not everyone wants to be a grinder, but people like. There's one thing Melee fans like it is watching tournaments. I mean, as content creators, we try to ask how can we get these people to watch literally anything else so we can monetize it. But we know that they'll watch tournaments. So I mean, it is a strong strategy. And I mean, locals are some of the most fun things for me coming up. I really loved it, and I wanted to ask a question about something else you said, Zain, where you were talking about the longer friendships you had and everything, and you said you wanted that back from going into this, and I was curious if you meant for you. Is this your meetup.com strategy? Are you trying to make some homies, or are you wanting this for other people? I was curious, or maybe both, but I was curious about what if there was that component of that for you as well.
First and foremost for other people, making that more just like capturing that vibe again. But I mean, I still got love in my heart. I have more room for friendship.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I've met, new people, are really cool. But I guess a combination of both.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it'll be cool to see, what comes out of doing this longer term, because I think there are so many things that come out of this sort of thing that you won't see or hear about for a long time later, or you maybe never hear about it, right? Some people don't talk about this stuff, but you might hear it years later, like, oh yeah, like people will talk about what they did with the Foundry, or they'll talk about what SSS did for them, or whatever. And you don't hear about that till it's long gone or whatever. So I think it is a really valuable thing, and it's time you could be using to practice. It's time you could be using to work out or whatever. And so, but you're still using it. I mean, sometimes you might just stream it and not be there, but you're still lending your brand and channel to that, which is still really valuable. But you're using your time to go there and do that, which is really important for the local scene. And I think it does give you something, but that is a trade-off that players make. And it's cool to see you making one to invest in your long-term, but to invest in your region's long-term, because ultimately, this is something I've talked about before with this conversation when it was coming up, especially when we were on Slippi more, is this comes back to you, right? If you play a mod more and then a mod gets better, that's just better practice for you. If more players come up and then you're playing them and you can play them on LAN to then prepare for LAN tournaments, that's just better for you. Then you don't have to play Slippi and then adjust from Slippi to LAN when you go to LAN, or if you could play them on Slippi to get ready, then you have someone close with better ping, and that's just so that all can even really benefit you long term too. So while this is a nice thing, it's something that also does help you too, which is something for maybe other top players to consider.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. What that reminds me of is when I was first playing Swift, and people were like, you should see some of the comments, when it was like, why are you wasting? This guy's not even close to X. It's like, why are you wasting your time with it? And it's just like, I can clearly tell he's asking a lot of questions and he's going to be really good. And he does things differently too, which it can be a plus. And look at him now. He's I forget what his ranking is, but he's
in the 20s. It's like 27 or something.
Yeah, he's really good. He
arguably pretty much same level as Axe.
I mean, he was ranked higher. Obviously, Axe is doing better now. But it's close, right? It's definitely close.
And that was partly because of your investment, partly because you saw the potential, you put in the work, and he was committed and he kept going.
Yeah, I'm not saying he obviously put in way more work besides just playing me. It doesn't just
right.
But Yeah, I mean, it's not a waste of time playing. Yeah, it's when you can tell that someone's like hungry to improve. It's always like, no matter what, it's awesome to play them.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing to think about too, because I know some top players only like playing top players, but I think you kind of feel, at least to some degree, like I do, where there's a lot of value to get out of playing anyone. And the way I always say it is, if you're not JV5ing someone every game, you got something to learn.
You could do better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, fantastic discussion. I mean, it's a really good question, and it's a really cool thing to see you
and
do.
A good caller.
Good. What a great caller,
end
right?
of the day,
All around great guy. Jack, if I may add.
Actually,
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, very strong.
Yep.
Very strong. Thank
strong
you so much.
Physically.
Yes.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Emotionally, yep.
Probably
Spiritually.
in other ways too. Yeah. And G Subs, thank you so much for calling in. Do you have any shout outs that you would like to do, particularly to one individual who's in the call with us before you leave today?
Yeah, I can't really think of anything, but that was really good Discord. Yeah, congrats, Dan, on winning Shine, of course. Incredible, and I'm sure, I'm excited to watch a lot more. A great discourse, and as a spectator, I really, in college, I really quote unquote grew up in the community watching SSS, Xanadu, Foundry. I used to watch Foundry every Tuesday. Like it was maybe even a problem, but I was watching every Tuesday. I was building my whole day around it, like getting all my work done early.
Oh, nice.
I really love, and I was on the East Coast too, so I stayed up to 1 or 2 a.m.
Damn.
Or even later.
Wow.
So,
yeah. I didn't even think of that.
It was
really fun memories, and I'm really excited to see how the cave grows. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care.
Take care, G.
Take care.
Peace out, G Subs. What a guy.
Stand-up guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Good seeing him. I think I actually got to say, I think Shine was the first time I've actually ever met him IRL.
You didn't see him at Genesis, huh?
I don't think so. I don't think I did. No.
Or
surprisingly, maybe
not Double Down either, huh? You're at Double Down, yeah.
I was at Double Down. I guess I didn't really hang out with you guys as much at Double Down. I kept going back to the hotel and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
Yeah. But here we are. 2022. G Subs is jacked. And Zain's back on top.
Very strong.
Yeah.
You do in fact love to see it. And speaking of things that you may or may not love to see, I've got one final question before we hand you off to the community voice, Zain. And this is a question that I think is percolating much less now after last weekend, but it's something I'd like to hear your thoughts on a little bit. We saw you on stream. Maybe not everyone knows this, but we saw you on stream. Sometimes you would be playing Marth and practicing against Jmook Sheik, but sometimes you would be playing cute little red flower in your head Puff against Cody Sheik. Maybe considering, I don't know, a counter pick strategy and for Left in particular, counter pick war for Sheik. And I'm curious, is that something you're still considering you just beat Jmook? Is it a long-term plan? Is it off the table now? What's Marth Puff or no, Marth Sheik, Puff Sheik looking like for you? How do you feel about all that mess? And if you don't want to talk about it, that's perfectly fine. But it is something that you at least trained publicly. So, any insight there would be cool.
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it at all. I think as of right now, I'm comfortable going Marth in the matchup. I do think that he can do it alone. But I've always thought, because I grew up in Melee watching like you, right? Like with Falco, Marth, and like Mango did Falco Fox, sometimes Marth in there. And I think those kind of dual mains are have been dying out a little bit. And I think it's really cool to add to the meta. And
we have a counterpick system for a reason, right?
We do, yeah. And I don't think it's being leveraged right now. Obviously, Mewtwo as well.
Only really Leffen.
Only Leffen, right? And
yeah, like Mango kind of Mango more just goes back and forth.
Yeah, it doesn't feel it just feels like he hard commits per set. For the most part. I also, for me in particular with Puff, I think it's a character that I enjoy a lot personally, and a lot of people in the community definitely hate. And it would be my goal to kind of show people why Puff can be pretty cool.
Puff can be cool.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of unique aspects of Puff that. I mean, Hungrybox is already good at a lot of them, but people don't really pay attention to it.
What are the things you think make Puff sick that you like focusing on? Let's talk about it.
I think specifically something that Hungrybox is really good at is like rhythmic pace changes, like in neutral, right? Just like the best in the world at doing that, of like making you feel like there's no threat, and then just being like, I can be aggressive, like most, like one of the most aggressive players in the world at certain points, and you're like, what the hell? Like, where did this come from? And Puff's like got like the punish game to make that really count, obviously. So stuff like that's really cool. Obviously, people always talk about aerial drift, and like I think there's a lot of
aerial dash dance.
Aerial dash dance.
Aerial dash dance.
I love dash dancing on the ground. I think I love dash dancing in the air. So, like,
there you go.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Puff is a character that I definitely enjoy, and I haven't really fully tapped into the potential. Like, I'm really good at resting, that's for sure. But like everything else, I have a lot of work to do, and it's something that I would want to do long term. Like,
and so is this just for Sheik? Is this for certain stages? Like, what?
It could be for a lot of things, right? It started out as a Sheik thing, but the more I think about it, is like, would I do it versus Axe eventually? Like, if my Puff, if my Puff were on the same level as my Marth, like hypothetically,
not, right? It's
just easier, right? And I do think I can get it to that point, but it is hard.
Maintaining two characters is a pain in the butt.
It is. I do think that Puff, in particular, it's less maintenance.
Yes,
nice. That's a big.
You
big
got
plus.
the upfront stuff, but after that, it was bad.
Yeah. It's a lot of discipline and also mental. I think there's a lot of mental energy in playing Puff as well, but it's also taxing on your opponent. And for someone like Leffen, right? That's a cool little counter pick war. I think that'd be cool to watch, because imagine I take him to FD, right? It's like, all right, does he go Fox? Because I'll just go Marth. Does he go Sheik? Because then Puff kind of, in my opinion, destroys Sheik on FD.
That can be a really tough one.
Yeah.
You have to start thinking about the game one in those sets a whole lot. The double blind. All that stuff starts getting real important. Yeah,
so I do think I like that. I really do like the idea of it, and although it's not even close to ready right now, I hope that it will be at some point, and I'll continue practicing it. On stream.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's exciting. Is there? I don't know. This is follow. Oh, go ahead, Toph.
Well, I was gonna say this is in some ways a little surprising to me, because I remember the last time we talked about this, your Puff was less of a. It was more of just like a stream character. Like it's
a stream. It was,
Don't rest me.
So now it's turned into, hang on a minute, there might be something here. When do you feel like that shift happened?
Wait, no, it's not going to happen when you rest HBox in tournament and you turn into Zwan.
Oh my god!
The transformation will be complete.
Yeah. That's a scary day. Whatever that.
Good luck to all chairs.
Yeah.
At that moment.
But I mean, it did start off as a stream character, and I got really hilariously good at resting. Just like I can rest anything I want. And once I realized, I was like, oh my god! I was like, I can really rest anything I want. I was like, hold on, is this serious? Because I was like, I could. This could be useful. And that was kind of the transition to that of like, and then also like just watching HBox play versus Sheik. Like, obviously he just lost to Jmook, but overall very strong record against Sheik with the way that he plays. And I have a lot of ideas on my own that I think could really like make the matchup even more Puff favor. Yeah.
And you would do go ahead.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely a lot of, like, HBox is already decent out of CC, I think, but I think there's a lot more potential for not just like something like down smash, but also like different tilts that Sheik does. Just like the tech chase stuff off of down throw on certain stages is pretty brutal.
The CPU zero stuff.
CPU zero stuff is nasty. Yeah. Like he just drilled rests past 60% every time on Sheik.
Yeah.
And that think about how easy it is to hit drill. Like they have to you have to light shield so you don't get poked, first of all. Like it's just pretty easy to throw out, and if you can confirm into rest, it's like, and even if you miss at low percent, what is Sheik really gonna do? It's pretty crazy to think about.
Sheik mains everywhere, very happy right now.
For a while you would pretty confidently, and you would probably even maybe still say this. You would say that Fox was your best secondary.
I think so. Yeah.
It's funny to me that you know, because another character that I think obviously does really well versus Sheik, Pikachu, and Puff would be Fox, but you haven't really considered the Fox to this degree for tournament, because that would be like the natural one. Or whatever.
I've thought about it. Definitely a lot more maintenance.
Yes,
a lot more maintenance. That is true.
Another consideration used to be my hands. And they're a lot better now than they used to be. So I could start thinking about it again.
Is everything? Are there still some issues with your hands? Just because it sounds like they're almost kind of are the way you're talking.
Every now and then, like I'll get a flare up or something if I have a particularly like long day of melee. But I think also exercising and weightlifting has helped reinforce. Yeah. But personally, I think Fox Sheik. I know, like, a lot of people get upset. Like, Leffen was like tweeted. Of course, he's always going to come out with the hot takes. So, like, Sheik, I think Sheik might beat like Fox or something. Like, he's just playing J-Mook at Summit, and it's like, okay, man. But I mean, I don't see it as being that bad, honestly.
That's what we were talking about with Zuppy. Is it's gotten a lot closer.
Lately. Yeah,
definitely.
But on the other side, I do think, like, in my head, Puff definitely beats Sheik. The way I see it, and I don't see that as strongly for Fox Sheik.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're saying, well, in terms of how much time I got to put in and how much reward I get and how much maintenance
it's an easy decision
later. It's just so much. It just makes so much more sense to go Puff. It's just a lower maintenance dual main. So I mean, it just sounds like, you know, you're just thinking about the risk reward and not. I mean, I guess you think Puff's pretty fun too. I don't know.
I think both are fun.
Yeah, different ways, maybe.
Different ways completely, yeah. But also, like, I think I'm the type of person that would like to innovate with Puff too, and Fox as well. But I think there's a lot of.
There's so many Foxes.
There's so many. It's very saturated, and people are always like Hungrybox is the only one that can do it, and I think he's amazing, obviously. But I want to be like, I can do it too.
Let him know.
Yeah.
Let them know. Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, that's an exciting thing to come out. I didn't know about that plan, and the way you're approaching that. So that is fun, and I think, you know, that's something you kind of cared about when you were coming up with Marth too, showing your own stuff. So you'll have a much better time doing that with Puff. So that's exciting. Yeah. That's cool. Toph, if you don't know if you have anything else to follow up with it on, but otherwise we're passing him off to the community.
Yeah, I mean that is really cool for me to hear. I've always been a fan of. If anything, I'm shocked that it hasn't. There's so many instances where, like, I feel like some top player is picking up some character, and you're like, ooh, potential for a really interesting counter pick war scenario, and it almost never actually happens. There have been a couple moments in Melee history where I've gotten really excited for potential top player counter picks, like. For example, Mango when he was messing with like Falcon or even Marth on FD for Armada.
Oh, that was fun.
That was fun.
That's a really cool one. Yeah,
that was a cool one.
When he was doing Mario on FD for X, that was funny because then there was Mario Young Link on FD.
Mario Young Link, yeah.
I hated watching that one. I'll be real. I really did not like that one.
It was funny. That was like Tafo's idea.
Oh yeah,
like Tafo was like Tafo suggested that one somehow. And, did it work? I forget how that one went. It did work.
I mean, not every time. I think it definitely beat the Young Link, but I think Pikachu. I think it had it. I think it won some, lost some, but I mean, it probably felt better than.
That's doing its job, honestly.
Yeah, honestly,
that's doing its job. Better than the HBox Ness against Young Link.
Ain't that the truth?
I've never seen it. Never will, probably.
It's okay. You're doing all right. You have not missed a lot. It is a good Ness, but it's still.
It's a good Ness. I'll give it to him. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "Hey, this is a pretty good Ness. This is like better than I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I thought it was better.
Ness me.
Don't Ness me. Yeah, better than the other name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Anyway, that's community voice time.
Okay, anyway, here we go.
Community voice time. Only Zain can ask this question. Only the community can answer this question. YouTube comment moment. Zain, what is the most burning question in your heart right now for the community? What do you really want to ask them?
Oh man,
serious, funny, anything.
Could be related to something we talked about this episode. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking Big House is coming up soon.
True.
Yep.
What's something Big House related? I guess
Cruise. They do Cruise there, and we were talking about Cruise.
they do Cruise, yeah.
But storylines or counter.
I guess.
Or anything.
I guess, yeah. What has been the community's favorite grand finals out of the Big Houses to watch?
Oh.
And as a kind of follow up, what would you like to see at Big House 10 for grand finals?
What finals?
Oh
Yeah.
man, for finals.
Well, it's pretty much going to be
question.
what game 10 set do we want to watch? I feel like.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Yeah.
anyone wants a sweep. Maybe they want Jmook to 3-0 whoever and take it.
Oh my god,
dude!
But I don't know.
All right, I'll answer.
Or Amsa can
I'll
take
answer.
it 3-0. People would like that too.
Yeah, Amsa. I think everyone wants Amsa to take one.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone would love eventually to see Amsa take one. But
I know. I think Zane's choice would be him versus Mango.
Oh, we're answering these right now. Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have
I guess me Mango. Yeah, that'd be
game
cool.
10 and you
I want
close it
to.
out.
I want a rematch. I want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I want a game 10?
No.
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 you want a quick 6-0.
Maybe like a game 5 in the first set, but you take it the fifth game strong for you. You take it convincingly.
I'll take a win. I'll take a win.
However, game count don't even matter.
Don't even think it's.
Maybe he doesn't get one. Just take that.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit less stress. Get to eat a little early. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Toph, do you want to weigh in now, or you want the people handle it?
Well, I do. I mean, the other person that I'm really pulling for to win a major right now, besides obviously always rooting for Zan, is Amsa.
Yeah.
Actually, and to a certain degree, Jmook. I think Jmook's due for one. I think the thing about Jmook though is it feels like he definitely will.
Dude,
just
he's
get
gotten
one.
second place so many
times. There's no way he
Yeah.
doesn't just win a major one of these days. That would be weird. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. If Zan's somehow not involved, so I'll just be unbiased and I'll imagine that Zan's not there. Then maybe Jmook Amsa. I don't know. And maybe Jmook figures out, and it's like a really sweaty set.
Yeah,
I don't want to see the one get rolled. I want to see.
Yeah, that wasn't close the first time, but Jmook's the type of person to be ready. I think he had notes ready for the next time they would face.
Even like this was something we were kind of mentioning at Shine was like even
Cheeky
X.
Pikachu. Yeah,
you got 3-0'd and then 3-0'd.
Honestly,
next day.
I might need a little fee for that, bringing in that Swift practice for, because he definitely utilized some of it.
He did. Wow. Yeah.
Let him know.
We got
royalty on that. Yeah.
FlyQuest, what's up?
Funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I'm here for all that. Now, obviously, we need Zain and None. We need to go to game 10. The sunglasses come on, and who could say what happens after
that would be sick. If both None and I were playing hot in a grand finals, that would actually be really sick.
Yeah. I would love to see None always has these little glimmers of
he's so smart.
He could definitely show up to a major and do really well.
I think so.
I would pop off so much if he won. God, I'm such a filthy None fan. I love it.
It would be hilarious. It would be hilarious. I mean, even you guys' summit sets, I remember they were ridiculous. The one time where None had to play Laud 3 times and had to play you 2 times and all this stuff.
That was so stupid.
None just played 14 tournament sets.
Laud beat me and didn't even make it into winners. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah, he played so many sets. It was ridiculous.
He played so many sets. It's crazy.
It was nuts. And they're HBox game 5 ones in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, a great community voice. I think people are going to have a lot of good answers for that one.
That's right.
Good discussion. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I always love doing this, and that was a fun one.
Yeah, this was a great one. Great conversation. Great vibes. Great, fantastic host holding it down. Thank you so much, Toph. And
it's a pleasure to be here, BB.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you all out there for watching. We'll see you next week. This is Radio Melee, signing out.